Hi folks, this is Alex K. We're inside my M5 F10. It's a 2012 model. I've had this car for 11 years, so I bought it when it was 1 year old. As the car has just crossed 200,000 kilometers, and I don't think there are a lot of M5s that they have done the similar mileage, so I thought to make a review video and share the experience and how it has been driving this car for so long now, right? Quite a big distance. And for me personally, the car I have driven the longest distance. So let's start with what is the M5 and F10. So it was introduced back in 2011, if I'm not wrong, and it was the succession of the E60. Now it was the first M5 with a turbo engine, so it has a twin turbo V8 engine, 4.4 liter, and it was a bit of an interesting creation from BMW, because it succeeded a controversial, if I may say, M5, the E60, which had a V10 engine, 5 liter, inspired by the Formula One car. So certainly a very interesting engine. Now I never liked the E60. The design doesn't do it for me. But what's interesting with the F10 is the fact that BMW M listened to the feedback of the M5 clients, and some of this feedback was, we want a car that has more torque, we don't have to rev the engine to move. We want a car with a big tank, because the E60 was notoriously famous, or infamous rather, for having a tank that is quite small, I think 65 liters, and when you would go for it, the consumption of the V10 engine would be quite high, so you wouldn't get a lot of mileage out of one tank. Also, one of the things the M5 clients requested from BMW M was, can you please bring back a tow bar? Because this is something where really, we need sometimes. So, yes, V8, twin turbos, 4.4. A lot of controversy was caused by the active sound, as in the sound system is theoretically creating a lot of artificial sound inside the car, but at the same time a very interesting creation, because it had a lot of power, a lot of torque. The weight was decent, and still rear wheel drive. Now about me specifically, when I first saw the specs, I thought this is madness. I thought this Nissan GTR in an M5 body. So this is what I generally thought. And I thought that, the turbo engine doesn't suit a BMW M car. It's not the right thing to do. And the active sound sounded horrendous. I thought it's ridiculous that this car is making sounds from the sound system instead of having an engine sound. So even though I liked the looks of the car, and the performance looked amazing, and some of the reviews from Chris Harris and others were really good, I thought this is a ridiculous car and I'm not interested in it. Right up to the point that I went to my BMW dealer here in Zurich, and they gave me one for a test drive, and I was completely blown away. I was blown away because the car handled so nice. It had these typical characteristics of the BMW M cars, like an E46 M3, for example. The weight, obviously, and the size of the car is significantly bigger, but the characteristics and the handling, phenomenal. So I loved it. I loved the throttle response. I loved the steering wheel response. I loved the brakes. I loved everything about it. And then I realized that I had to have one. So a few details that some of you may not know about these cars. It is the last M car that has a hydraulic steering rack, and it has the servotronic system with 3 settings on the steering wheel. The steering feel is just perfect. It's perfect. So that's one. Second, the V8 engine is theoretically very similar to the ones of the 550, but it behaves very different, and it has anti-lag in the turbos. So when you operate the car in Sport Plus mode and also Sport mode, it's going to keep the turbos spooling when you back off the throttle. So when you are in the throttle again, the throttle response is phenomenal. It is very good. What else? The firing order basically imitates the sound of a flat plane V8, even though the engine is a cross plane V8. So that's also really interesting. And it has a very high compression ratio for a turbocharged engine that is pushing a lot of boost actually. And I think all of you would know the turbos is inside the V, and the reason why is to ensure they spool faster and at the same time reduce the distance between the cold side of the turbo and the intake manifold. But what else is interesting is that there is a specific design in the exhaust manifolds on the turbos, so as you have continuous exhaust gas flow on the hot side of the turbo, and again minimize the lag and pick up boost very, very fast. So these are some interesting facts. What about mine now? So let's fast forward to this part. So I got this car in 2013. It's if I can say simple, M5 F10. It's not a competition package or something. When I bought it, it had 20,000 kilometers. It was exactly the spec that I wanted to have. So first it has to do with the seats. So these are the full option comfort seats. They have a lot of settings. I'm going to flash it over because I can't remember how many settings they have. The leather color also, it's something I wanted. So this light gray. And also the exterior color is something that I wanted to have, and it's Singapore grau. So let's continue also with why I bought mine. So at the time, my wife had a Z4 that she loved. Didn't have it for a long period of time, and the previous car she used to drive every day was an X5. Lovely car, E70 X5, the diesel with 280 horsepower, but it felt like a truck, and I was finding this so boring. And I wanted a car that could do everything, carry the family, cover long distances in comfort, being able to load it with things, plus have a tow bar, because I race bikes. For those of you that follow my channel, like and subscribe, because I race bikes and I need to transport them to the racetrack. And I thought that this would be the perfect car to do everything. And at the same time, M5s historically have been subtle. So it's kind of a Q car, and you have to know about cars to realize what it is, otherwise it looks like a BMW 5 Series limo and nothing specific. So over the years I've driven it a lot, every day, going to ski, going to racetracks, going to business trips, going to vacation, carrying the model boats to the lake, and the list goes on. And also I towed the trailer several times. Like every year I use the trailer multiple times, either to go to the racetrack or even go to IKEA and pick up some furniture. Now, from the beginning, the car had oil consumption issues, and BMW under warranty replaced the valve seals. Now, here's the reality, and I'm going to put a graph of the oil consumption here. These engines, no matter what you do, they're going to burn oil if you use it every day in very short distances. If you use it on a long trip, so say you do 1,000 kilometers today, and I've done this, I've clocked 1,000 kilometers in a day with this car, specifically with a trailer, towing a trailer, which is phenomenal, then it doesn't burn any oil. So the oil consumption can fluctuate from a liter every 1,000 kilometers to a liter every 4,000 kilometers or something. So it fluctuates that much. So later I realized that actually even this attempt, and kindly BMW did this maintenance in the engine, it wasn't necessary really. It's how these engines perform. Besides that, what other issues? At some point I had quite a few struggles with the AC system for a variety of reasons. But the bottom line is I replaced every radiator in the car, every line, and the AC is fine. It was a bit painful because I should have done this from day one, just go and replace everything, because everything was leaking in the end for a weird reason. I never had any issue with the AC system on a BMW car, but I had with this car. So I think it was only this. And then the other thing that happened is it has comfort access, and at some point a year ago, the door handle basically stopped working, and then also the soft close door mechanism, the one that has the electric motor and closes the door, also had to be replaced. But again, I think this is normal wear and tear. Now, what is phenomenal owning this car is, when you drive in the highway, and usually in Switzerland, I drive with the speed limit, which is 120. The fuel consumption is phenomenal. So it spends only 9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is quite amazing. It's a very, very efficient engine. And even when I tow the trailer, and it's a closed trailer, I can put a photo as well, and it is loaded with the motorbikes and the tools and the gear, the fuel consumption is also decent. So you can have anything between 13 liters to 14.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, of course, the consumption depends on whether you are in a part of the road that has a lot of uphill driving or downhill driving, or is it flat, this sort of thing. Otherwise, the other phenomenal thing, and I'm going to put the precise numbers here, at some point I changed the brake pads and the discs, obviously. So I changed discs and brake pads, and I used the Endless, the MX72 brake compound, which is a street and also track-oriented compound. You wouldn't believe how long they last. The front pads are still on with the discs, and I've done 80, as in 80,000 kilometers. And I changed the rear brake pads at roughly 70,000 kilometers, which is phenomenal. And the discs are fine, there are no issues. Now, clearly, it's not as if I'm driving this car every day max speed and I need to slow down. It's just normal driving trips. Sometimes I'll go faster. A couple of times I've been to the racetrack and I've tracked this car. So this is quite interesting to see. I did forget though one one more issue I had, technical issue with the car, which was the coolant lines for the gearbox cooling have been leaking. So the gearbox was leaking oil, and in the end I had to replace the whole line. It was a very painful experience because I did it on my own, and you know there is very little space, and it's quite hard. But the reason why was, at some point in a BMW dealer, the coolant line, and it's aluminum and it has some O-rings, it was bent. So because it was bent even so slightly, due to the oil pressure, it would leak oil there. Again, not great, but not the fault of the car really. Someone did the wrong thing on it. So that was the issue there. Yeah, so quite phenomenal how good this car is and how reliable it has been. Now, a few more things that I wanted to share about the modifications I have done over the years. So the first modification is I have lowered springs. They are from H&R. From memory, they are a little bit lower, as in 2 or maybe 3 centimeters from stock. The stock ride is very high. It doesn't sit well. Obviously, very convenient when it comes to steep garage ramps, etc. But didn't look nice. Didn't handle as good. So I have H&R, and at the same time, what I did is I changed the anti-roll bars, and I'm running the competition package anti-roll bars, the original BMW ones. Besides that, I have 2 carbon flaps on the front. They're CSL style. I think probably they improve the downforce by a little bit, not a lot, but I like how they look, and they have been okay. So I think that's the summary of it. Besides that, I've been running for several years the Alcantara BMW competition steering wheel. It is the more modern steering wheel from the facelift. It's not the original steering wheel. But recently I needed a change, and my wife really doesn't like the Alcantara one, so I got the same steering wheel but basically leather. And the other significant update I've done is I run a tow bar, and it's a fantastic towing vehicle. It can tow up to 2,000 kilos, which I think is quite decent. It's electric, so you push a button, and you can see the video in a moment, and it comes out. So it's a very good tow car. Now, some of you are going to think, why would you spoil an M5 to tow something? Well, my answer to this is with a question. Why not? It's a lovely car. It drives amazing. It's very safe when it's towing because it doesn't feel the weight. Even once I had to tow the CSL with a big car trailer, it was absolutely fine. It doesn't do anything weird. It doesn't weave. It doesn't move left and right. The brakes are phenomenal, obviously. So it's absolutely great. Okay, quick pause. All right, let's continue. What are some modifications that I removed? So at some point I was running a JP4 parallel ECU and also a water methanol injection kit from them. Now you may find it funny, but the reason why I did this because I was concerned about the carbon buildup in the intake valves, and I thought that obviously running the water methanol kit is going to clean the valves consistently, and that was the reason why I installed it, and it was working fine. I had to pair it with iridium spark plugs gapped in a different gap. The car was making crazy power. With the setup I was running, it was pushing around 700 at the wheels. phenomenal. A few times in Germany, in Italy, I bumped into some very fast cars, and I left them very far behind. I think they need a GPS. They needed a GPS tracker to understand where I am. So very fast. Now I removed it at some point because I came across a Swiss police officer who was over eager to put me in my place, and then in the end I had to remove it. It's okay. It is what it is. And also was running for a period of time the road legal super sprint back boxes. Again, the reason why I bought them is not the usual one, as in to make more noise. It was, I loved the end pipes because they were slash cut, and this is the style that I like, and also the end pipes were bigger. Now, interestingly, the stock ones make far more noise when you are on full throttle, because they have this valve, each one of the exhaust back boxes, and when you are on the throttle and the valve opens, it just makes unbelievable sound. And also you can hear some cannon shots when you go for it and you change gears. I removed the super sprint in the end. At some point the droning in low RPM, it made me tired, and I like the more versatile, I guess, sound that the OEM ones are making. So when you go on efficient mode like we're going right now, it's very quiet. When you want to go for it and you press Sport Plus as an engine mode, then it really goes and it makes a lot of noise, and I like this. Otherwise, look, maybe some of you are thinking, how is an M5 in a racetrack? I think it's very good. It is a heavier car, of course. I've been running on mine Michelin Cup 2 tires, the semi-slick ones, for years. I guess I run them every day, and I tow the trailer with them. And I know some of you are very concerned about using semi-slick tires every day. But okay, they work for me. So the M5 is quite good in a racetrack. You can have a lot of fun. It's an amazing drifting machine, if drifting is your thing, and you can do it. So I've been to the racetrack, I believe, 3 or 4 times with 4 times, I think, with it, and it has been really good. Had a lot of fun with it, but also several times I've drifted in the snow. I've been to some snow drifting places. Now sometimes I had to correct the trajectory on the car in the street when it's snowing, and again, amazing. The differential is so good. It really helps you, and I think provided that you know what you're doing, you have decent winter tires, you don't get stuck anywhere, unlike what people think when they have a rear-wheel drive car. And the other thing I wanted to address is why I don't like the F90 and why I haven't changed this car to an F90. So the first thing is the design. I love the design of the F10. I think it's pure BMW. It retains a lot of the ethos of the old BMWs, and also the M5s, which was a super fast, capable, understated luxury limo. And I think the F90 is not that. I think like modern BMWs, the same goes for the G80 M3 and now the latest M5, this monstrosity that weighs more than the black hole. So no, the F90, the design, I don't like it a lot, and also the ground clearance, because it's 4x4. It reminds me of a Subaru, so it looks like an off-road vehicle. And then the other thing, clearly, is the fact that it's 4x4. So why on earth would you make an M5 4x4? What is the issue this is solving? Is it to go off-road? I don't understand it. And I know the 0 to 100 kilometers per hour are better, and I know when it's wet, it accelerates faster. At the same time, I have to ask, why do you need this acceleration when it's wet? Anyhow, when it's wet, you're supposed to drive carefully, and you know the traction is significantly lower. And when you accelerate fast, you need to stop fast as well, and you can't do this when it's wet. So I don't understand this, if I'm honest. I don't understand any of this anyway. And of course they remove things like the tow bar. You can't have a tow bar because or I could actually be wrong on this. But anyway, I think the bottom line is, I think this is, in my opinion, of course, the last M5 that maintains the ethos of what an M5 is. I think someone could be buying a 550 four-wheel drive 5 Series instead of the modern M5s with 4x4 and a ton of weight and a ton of power, which you can't really use. But okay, each to their own. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. I've gained a lot of experience with this M5, and my plan, and maybe it's unrealistic, is to hit 1 million kilometers with this car, but I'm not sure I'm going to live long enough to be able to do this. But I'm going to show you what's the trajectory of the mileage in a graph, so you can see it here. So maybe a little bit unrealistic to hit this number, but you never know. I'll certainly keep trying. Thank you. Bye.